Gratitude is one of the most powerful attitudes a believer can carry. Yet it is also one of the most overlooked. In a culture that constantly demands more, tells us we're not enough, and measures success by possessions and performance, gratitude almost feels out of place. We are trained to notice what's missing before we celebrate what's present. We're taught to chase the next blessing instead of savoring the ones already given. But what if we stopped running and started recognizing? What if we shifted our hearts from striving to thanking, from complaining to contentment? Gratitude doesn't begin when life is perfect. It begins when the heart chooses to see God even in the imperfect. Gratitude is not passive. It's not something that just happens when things go your way. It's a decision, a conscious, faith-filled choice to focus on God's faithfulness rather than your frustration. The Apostle Paul writes, "Give thanks in all circumstances." That means in the pain, in the waiting, in the uncertainty, gratitude is still the will of God. Many believers miss the joy of walking with God not because He's absent, but because they're so focused on what's lacking they can't see what's already there. Example: when Paul and Silas were beaten and thrown into prison, Acts 16, they had every reason to complain. But instead, at midnight, the darkest hour, they began to sing praises to God. That praise was birthed from gratitude, and that gratitude released power. The prison doors flew open and their chains were loosed. Why? Because gratitude invites God into the situation. I declare today that God, I don't have to wait for the breakthrough to be thankful. I can praise you in the process. When we complain, we focus on ourselves, what we want, what we lack, what we feel we deserve. But gratitude recenters our hearts on who God is, His goodness, His mercy, and His sovereign control. Psalm 103:2 says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all His benefits." David had to command his soul to bless the Lord. Why? Because our soul, our emotions, our thoughts, our desires can easily forget. We can forget how far God has brought us. We can forget the prayers He already answered. We can forget that He's been faithful before and He'll be faithful again. Gratitude brings back the memory of God's goodness. It reminds our soul, God is still on the throne. He has not abandoned you. He is working all things for your good. Psalm 104 says, "Enter His gates with thanksgiving and His courts with praise. Give thanks to Him and praise His name." If you want access to the presence of God, the door is gratitude. You don't come into God's presence by complaining. You don't get closer to Him by focusing on what's broken. You draw near to Him when you approach with a thankful heart. Gratitude opens the gates. It draws you into a deeper awareness of God. It aligns your heart with heaven. Worship is more than a song. It's the attitude of a grateful heart poured out before a worthy God. When you feel dry spiritually, try this. Don't ask for anything. Just thank Him. Thank Him until your heart shifts. Thank Him until joy returns. Thanksgiving clears the clutter of the soul and makes room for fresh oil. Gratitude doesn't always change the storm, but it will always change you in the storm. There are seasons when life feels overwhelming, when prayers seem unanswered, when hope feels distant. But even in those seasons, gratitude anchors the soul. Habakkuk 3:17-18 is one of the most powerful declarations of faith. "Though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation." That's mature gratitude. That's not surface-level thanksgiving. It's a heart so rooted in God that it says, even if nothing changes, I will still thank you, I will still praise you, I will still trust you. Gratitude is an act of spiritual warfare. It says to the enemy, you can't have my joy, you can't have my peace. I may be in the fire, but I know who's in it with me. There's power in thanksgiving. When Jesus fed the 5,000, he didn't ask for more food. He gave thanks for what he had. John 6:11. And that act of gratitude produced multiplication. Thanksgiving takes what looks small and places it in God's hands. It transforms the not enough into more than enough. Don't wait until you see the miracle to be grateful. Gratitude precedes the miracle. It's often the missing key between where you are and where God wants to take you. A heart of gratitude isn't something you stumble into, it's something you build. Brick by brick, choice by choice, moment by moment. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Gratitude rewires your mind, repositions your spirit, and releases joy into your atmosphere. So today, choose gratitude. Not because everything is perfect, but because God is still good. Not because every prayer has been answered, but because the one who hears them is faithful. Let your life be a song of thanksgiving. Let your worship rise, even in the storm. Because when you live with a heart of gratitude, you don't just survive, you thrive. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel for more. At Catholics, let us pray.